Welcome to another episode of The West is the Best. Today, we're going to be exploring our awards recognition program. Today, we have two guests, Eva Madrid and Brittany Sontag, who both have held several different positions. And Eva's an outgoing, previously
a regional awards chair, outgoing, but it seemed like I was the chair for a long time, more than the 2 years term.
And Brittany, it has just started within her realm of things.
So I was the co-chair 2 years ago. I just finished my first term as a chair, and due to a vacancy, I will be doing one more year as a chair.
Perfect. And today we're just going to have a conversation a little bit more about the various roles, how to get involved, and then the various aspects related to opportunities that we can continue on, not necessarily exploring the actual application process.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here today. We're really excited to hear more about it, because this is a role that, the whole purpose of this podcast is for us to really explore what we do as an association and just kind of see how people could get more involved, or just see how those moving pieces work. How is the sausage made? How, really those type of diving deep a little bit and understanding how we can better support each other and just be a better resource.
Absolutely, Alan, I agree with that. I think it's there's a lot of ways to be involved in our association. I think the regional awards contact folks that these guys do, we don't always know who's doing this or who's responsible for it. We just presume it's happening right under our nose. So I'm excited to maybe inspire some future regional award contact chair people. What is the official title of this role?
Well, you're a regional awards chair. You pretty much are the liaison between the national chair to your state chairs. And then it's the collecting of making sure that the awards applications are turned in on time, the process, being that resource to the state chairs when award submissions are due, being able to notify your state chairs of changes to the rules, when things are deadlines, when they have to turn in those applications, as well as one of the biggest roles is selecting judges for your different states, and then the regional level, and then the national level. So really being present at those meetings assists the regional award chair, as well as having that communication with your state chairs across the Western region.
And I think it also just serves as kind of that, like you mentioned, a liaison. So it's that kind of first connection that our state chairs have to the awards. So if they have questions, or if they're reading the score sheets and they're noticing things are not really matching up, they would come to the regional awards chair to kind of clarify or to work with that national awards chair.
I'll go ahead and ask, how did you get involved with this? Like you mentioned that there's opportunities to be a local judge or to be an evaluator. So is that kind of the pathway how you got involved with this, or what's your both of your stories with becoming a part of this?
So I guess I could start, since I'm technically I'm outgoing. Several years, one of our colleagues who has now since left our region approached me and said, why don't you be an apprentice and I'll teach you the ropes, and got me involved. Little did I know that she was going to leave, and then I would take over. So that's how I got involved, was because of a fellow colleague was in this position. I had served as a state chair for our association, and so she invited me to be a part of it, and that's how kind of I became involved with the awards committee. And then she handed over the reins after she left and said, okay, now you can take the role on full-fledged. But I think one of the biggest rewards, I guess, from being involved is it gives you a better understanding of what the process is, what other states are doing, and helps you convey to your membership at the state level what a good application is, what an application should entail.
Right.
Making sure that you follow those rules and not expand on those and things like that. But I think being involved, it's another level of serving your association, basically serving your association at a different level.
Eva, you've been at this for a while, right? Like it feels like maybe a couple of terms, even though I don't think it is, but you've been at this for how long?
Well, it seems like it's been like you said, a long term. And so really when I was an apprentice under our former colleague and then just continued there. I've recruited some of our New Mexico colleagues, as well as encouraging others when we have our meetings. But it seems like I've been on there forever.
And for me, I had a very similar experience as Eva. Actually, Eva's the reason that I got involved. So I started out judging at the state level, working my way, doing some regional and some national judging. And then Eva put out this thing where an email blast, and she's like, hey, is anybody interested? And I don't know, had a wild hair one day and was like, sure, why not? And now I understand that it's like one of those things, once you get on it, you kind of have to train up your next person, or, you get to be it for a while.
But one thing I think as a regional chair, as you're asking your colleagues from whether it's in your own state or other states, is that you serve as that mentor and are available to assist in any way that you can to help them be successful in that role that they're serving.
Absolutely. And I think personal asks are so important as well. So when you ask somebody, hey, I think you could really thrive in this position. I think you could really give back to the association in such an amazing way. I think people are more likely to step up and really want to help serve.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Especially when it's a genuine thing like that, where it's like, hey, I see that you have a strength in this and you could really do well with this. That's always a huge boost and a reason to want to be able to be involved.
I would say, Eva, you've kind of become like, you are so elevated and popular and well regarded and respected for the work that you've done as our regional awards chair for however many years it's been. I know you saw us through some transitions of systems and things, and everyone that I meet speaks so highly of you and is so complimentary of you. And the fact that when Brittany took over, that was such a seamless transition almost, is that it wasn't like, oh, we've got a new person who's still getting her legs under her. Like, it was like you didn't even know that Eva wasn't in charge anymore. So that's a compliment to you guys for working so well together and complementing each other's knowing what needs to happen and that mentorship that happens.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Sometimes it gets busy with this role pretty much from when the applications are due until the judging process. There are those deadlines you have to meet. So that means a lot. That the work that we do, we have the opportunity to serve our association and hope that we leave a good pathway for somebody that's taking over. So thank you.
Awesome. So based on that conversation, both of you briefly mentioned as far as being like judges or an evaluator. So give us a little bit more explanation to that, as far as how does that contribute over to being a regional awards chair? How does those additional aspects to support the process, how does that work? Do you have to have certain criteria to be an evaluator? Is that something that you just volunteer to do? How, as our members, how can they recognize those opportunities?
Brittany, do you want me to take it?
Sure.
First,
And then you can
ask.
Yeah. I think it's really having that communication. I know sometimes those emails are lengthy, and you're hoping that you're trying to put the amount of information in your emails to help communicate that to the state chairs. I think it is really important as a state chair, to communicate with your state association and giving them those opportunities. It not only helps them develop professionally, but gives them ideas of what their colleagues are doing. So it's putting that call out to your judges, to your fellow colleagues, to, hey, we need help, and in order for this to happen and our applications to get judged and to move on to the next process, we need your help. And so I think it's just asking and communicating that to your members.
And I think, when you're communicating with those members, it's just letting them know, hey, I know you're really strong in STEM programming, and I noticed you don't have an application in STEM. I think you should review these applications this year to see what a very successful program looks like. And then, I think you should apply for it next year. So I think that's one of the benefits people do get from judging, is they can see what a successful packet looks like. And it can really help them as they begin to work on their packets as well.
Really good point. I never even thought of that in terms of using it to improve your own area of programming. I think of it, more as that's where I get really clever ideas from what our colleagues are doing across the West. I don't ever hone in and say, oh, sign me up for STEM so I can learn more about STEM.
Right.
I enjoy judging whatever I'm given, and I steal ideas all the time from it.
Well, and that's what's,
Go ahead, Ellen.
Oh no, I was just real quick was going to say that's the beauty of 4-H, right? Where we are so willing to share with each other, and it's just makes our programming better. I also really like, Brittany, how you brought out you get to know what others' strengths are, because I may not necessarily, I'll tell you right now that animal science, anything is not my strength. But if you ask outdoor education, that is a strength that I have. And so being able to have that better knowledge of who around you, even in your own state, you could reach out to and lean on that expertise. It just builds more community. It builds that trust. It's like, oh, people actually want to come to me for help. It built that confidence for professionals as well.
Especially, in the West, because a lot of our communities are so spread out. Our counties are typically very huge. Being able to have those other connections with other states and say, okay, so this person's doing this really cool program, so I'm going to reach out to them and use them now as a resource.
What is the time commitment if you are interested in judging at a regional level? What's the time commitment that takes?
Definitely, you'll want to refer back to the timeline. Normally, that comes from our national chair giving us those deadlines. It does, I believe, March 1st is when applications are due through the open water system. And with the process changing before and just recently this last year, awards chairs didn't have to find their judges right away. Before, we used to have to find our judges all by February 1st and submit names, and then we had to change it if those associations had an application or what have you. But with that process changing, it's a little bit easier on the awards chair to identify those judges within each of the states, and then the regional level, and then the national level. So pretty much once the applications are submitted through Open Waters, then they're dispersed into the different categories and assigned to your judges. So normally you have about a month to get those in, and then it goes to the next, you're looking at the regional level, you have about a month. But Brittany, please correct me if I'm wrong, since I've been out for a year. And then you have your national awards that definitely are due in the summertime, so that all the paperwork and the awards are ordered and what have you.
So it's not a long commitment.
It's not a long commitment. And then, of course, when those that are attending the national conference, then the fun, you get to network with other people, you get to sort the awards and making sure that they are all in order and taking out the ones that aren't attending, and then help out with the awards ceremony process.
Right, as a reviewer you do that, or as a chair you do that?
Well, anybody on the committee, if you want to, anybody that's on the awards committee is asked if they attend, they can attend and help. Basically, it's the working group, and you help out with the awards ceremony and making sure all the awards are in line. After you review, pretty much, I mean, once you're done and you've completed your scores and through Open Waters and what have you, your time commitment varies from that time.
So if you wanted to be, after you review, if you wanted to be on the regional committee, that's also an option for you to go help Brittany lay out the awards and kind of organize them as well.
Oh yes, it's definitely an all hands on deck when we have the committee meeting at the national meeting. So it's kind of everybody gets together, they sort the awards, they make sure that they're in order for the people who are going across the stage, to make sure that it is a nice seamless process. And then whoever the national person is, they have a list of people who are not attending, so you make sure you pull and then you sort them by states. Definitely an all hands on deck process.
And another process as far as like regional chair, you want to work with the states since service awards are submitted a little bit different. Normally it's the state chairs or the state chairs and regional chairs that the state chairs will make sure that those are in the open water system. And then the regional chairs, will verify and making sure that the awards, once they're turned in, that everybody pretty much nobody got missed, I guess.
And, if you're looking for other opportunities, we do have our regional breakfast every year at the association meeting. And so we do give our certificates out where we do recognize our regional winners. And so there's definitely opportunities there as well to help out with that.
As much or as little as people are willing and available to give, it sounds like you will take it in all forms.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, so within your experience drawing upon being regional award chairs, what advice would you give our membership to either the benefits, how to gain this more opportunity, what within those space, because you've seen the backside, you've seen being an extension professional, what advice would you wrap up all that experience from?
I would say read the requirements. If it requires a letter of recommendation, there needs to be a letter of recommendation. If it says max 3 pages, if it's 3 pages and 1 line, it is a DQ. So it's so important when you are applying that you read what those requirements are.
Reading the score sheets also, identifying the score sheets or pulling the score sheets, and looking at the criteria is really important. But I think as a member of the association, the biggest advice is to get involved, help out and be available, because you learn so much and you network with your colleagues, not only from your state, but from across the West and across the nation. And I think it's building those partnerships and those networking opportunities that allows collaboration in different programming and gaining ideas. I think that's one of the biggest things is to get involved and be an active member, be present as an association member.
And apply.
Yes.
Apply.
Yes.
Like it amazes me that people are like, oh, well, my program just really isn't that cool. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, this is a really cool program. You need to apply for it. And so it really gives you a chance to justify or to validate just how awesome the work we're doing in the West is.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that is something that we have talked about on how it can feel awkward to self-nominate or to basically write out how your program is and celebrate it and say, hey, I deserve this award. And so I'm curious what you have as advice going towards that, on how do you overcome that awkward feeling that I just want to be a humble person that did a good job. And then, I've heard of a few different things in the past. It's like, hey, it's a way to document things like that. But I'm curious how you both feel about that, and how do you overcome that awkward feeling when you're applying for an award for a program that you made?
I think part of it is teamwork. So when you submit awards as a group, it's a lot easier for me when I'm submitting an award and there's 6 other people on there, because
Right.
I can very easily brag about the 6 other people. And then, yeah, occasionally I'll write my name or whatever in there. So I think applying as a group or as a team can kind of help with that.
I definitely agree with Brittany, that team. Sometimes it's just putting that personal touch and calling your colleagues and saying, you have a great program, you should really apply. I know I'm in the same, I don't like to self-nominate, but so with myself, and so in that respect. But so, being able to, when you evaluate the numbers that of awards that go unapplied for, or how many, that also affects, our sponsorships and our funders, and whether some of these awards are going to continue. It also allows us to evaluate some of the criteria when we're looking at some of those awards. COVID, one of the ones that really pushed was that the virtual learning and the technology. So there's a lot of great work going out. Our agents are doing, our extension professionals are doing some great work out there, and it is hard, but maybe it's sometimes just having that human connection and putting that personal call to say, hey, you should really think about applying. And when you work together as a team, that's so valuable, and that whole team gets that recognition, whether it's at the state level, regional, and of course, hopefully that team gets across the stage.
Too, when it comes to applying for the awards, maybe we're different, but I doubt it highly, is that it's part of what we report on at the end of the year when we do these year-end reports. And regardless of your tenure and promotion, it's still part of what you have to report on every year. And I think it's also kind of more meaningful coming from our association, where people know what our job is. And if other people tell us that we are doing a good job with whatever that program is, there is kind of some more meaning packed behind it, rather than just from our supervisors who have to read it.
Right.
Well, the biggest thing is the impact that we're making. And so sometimes that's hard for us to convey. And so with these awards, it gives you that time to reflect and how our programs are really impacting the clientele, the people that we're serving as extension professionals.
And we take a moment also to talk about, we met in a previous podcast with Alyssa Walden, who's the chair of the programs committee, and went through all of the working groups. And we talked about many of the working groups have awards associated. And then there's the communicator awards. And then you mentioned the service awards. Could you just do a quick what's the difference between all of those awards, and what's the process? Are they all the same, or are they different?
So within your service awards, a lot of that depends on your association membership. So it's really, the state chairs really need to have an idea of how many to move forward. Your communicator awards and your specialty awards, the requirements are different. The programs are different. So it's really looking at the guidelines, as far as some are individuals, some are teams, some they're put all together. So it's really looking at those guidelines.
In the communicator awards, those are, like Ellen and I were joking, it's the posters that we make and the flyers we make, but also the publications or the radio spots, or the newspaper articles that we write. I mean,
The social
practical
media posts.
everyday, the things that we do without even recognizing that we're doing it, part of our job.
Right, the communicating of how we're communicating the communication of how we are communicating our programs to our clientele, where the specialty awards dive in more into specific areas, whether it's shooting sports or whether it's educational programming, and that lends more to highlighting the programs that our association members are doing.
Thank you.
Hopefully that answered that.
No, it did. I think sometimes it's because I don't know, somebody was going to count how many awards there were that were available. And I don't know if any of us did that, but there are just so many. But when you go through them and look at them, it's actually there's an award for almost everything we do. If they had an award for like working best with the Fair Board, I think that would be a great addition. If they're like some of those things,
that award.
I think so. I think we all get a trophy for that. But it's one of those where, here's Megan's personal method, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. This time of year, I sit down to do my annual evaluation reports, and I look through my year, and I look through what they're asking me to report, and I put that on the table next to the awards applications. And so the things that I think I did really well this year, I try to negotiate how they're going to fit into my association awards application, so that I can make sense of all of that, so that you're not, because we're writing them. That's the kind of where I keep coming back to. You're already writing it for your review paperwork. So why not just fill it into this matrix that's provided and submit it?
Well, and if you are doing a program and it currently doesn't fit in with one of those levels, that's where those association meetings come into play, because you can actually propose, okay, we're seeing a lot more social media, so we should have, an award for that, or, you're able to bring up, and the awards are constantly just being updated to really showcase what our members are doing.
Yeah, they are a lot as alive as our jobs are, that's for sure. Remember a couple of years ago, they had like best videotape? We don't have that anymore.
That's amazing. Well, now with social media, maybe it's the best TikTok or the
One
Megan,
can only hope. One can only hope.
It may have to be a series, but like you were saying, like with the whole pandemic, the asynchronous and synchronous learning, hybrid, just being aware of how things have adapted, and people are doing work that takes a lot of time and effort and should be documented by applying for an award and showing others throughout the nation and even across the world, this is how you can do positive youth development programs. It's just a great way to highlight. Before we get to our last question, I just wanted to have one follow-up as well, because what Megan brought up was really interesting to me, because we have talked about how we have so many new members who are joining our professional organization, people that are even outside of Extension. They've never been in 4-H, they've never been in Extension, and they're coming to this program. They're coming to be a member of our association and may not even realize the awards or why they should do awards or how, and we've talked a lot about that, but could you talk a little more about why should new people apply for awards? And I think you've touched on it a little bit, but if you were to summarize, why should you do it? What would you say to a new person, why you should apply for an award?
I think the value of the work that we are doing as Extension professionals and in youth development, we need to tell our story, I guess, is the biggest thing. And so applying for awards helps you tell that story. And as hard as it is to self-nominate, it helps you tell that story, as well as showcases the work that you're doing, and that the work that you're doing, it has value, and that it's important. It's important to apply for those awards. I know that promotion and tenure and things like that, and sometimes we get so bogged down that we have to do it. But tell your story, showcase the work that you're doing within your states.
And kind of taking that time to apply for the awards, it gives you a chance to really outline and dive deep into a program. So then you've already got it written up. So when your state legislators show up and they want to know, here, tell me about a big program, you've got a 2-3 pager you can hand them.
Right.
When county commissioners want some information, when your university's wanting information. So it's giving you that chance. You've already been able to now focus on it in a time that's hopefully not nearly as crazy. Because I know I usually get all my information requests right around county fair. It's very nice to have stuff that's already prepared. So when they come in with those 24-hour requests, it's already ready to go.
Right. I really like how both of you changed the paradigm from it being where I have to do this. This is another thing on my checklist that I have to do, to rather, I am telling you my story. This is something, and it doesn't have to be reinventing the wheel each time. It's something that you can use for an award application. You could use it to tell your story to your, like you said, your commissioners, your community, your partners, your supervisor. It's not having to be its own huge thing that you redo just for that. It's something that can be used for multiple purposes. So I really like that. It's a shift in the paradigm, rather than this is another checkbox item I have to do, to rather, I'm telling my story. This is me showcasing what I have done in a way that is to my colleagues and to everybody.
And it's okay to celebrate your successes. I think when we talked about this too, is when you put the time and effort into implementing a new program or developing something from the ground up. In our world, in our 4-H world, that means that this is a choice. We've made this decision, and our time is already so limited that we've made the conscious, intentional choice to do something. And by golly, we should all just be proud of that, because we know what it is to take time away from something else to start a new program in our community or in our region or state that could be really meaningful and impactful. And I think that you should want to share that story. I'm with Alan. I really appreciate the way you guys changed it as a have to or a need to or a must to celebrate that. You should, and you should.
Now, I know that people that are going to hear this in my state are going to be like, okay, you need to take your own advice. So,
I mean, I don't want to get weird with you, but I have the regional banquet brunch program where I did see your name on there, didn't I, Eva?
oh, yes. But I mean, I think yes, on some of the team awards we were partnered, and with COVID and everything, it's lended itself to that collaboration and doing virtual programs that we're impacting not only our county, but we're getting statewide participation. And so working with colleagues, it's been a great opportunity to be able to do some of those programs virtually and collaborate with colleagues within the state. But yes, but I know that my county director is going to hear this. If she hears this, and she's going to say, okay, now you have to take your own advice. So
I'll be looking for your award application.
But you don't have to apply for them all.
Right. No.
Yeah. Well, it's 4-H. We learn by doing. And I will say I'm the same way. I do not feel comfortable self-nominating, and I need to work on that. But that's what, we're here to do, is we're here to keep learning and doing and learn from it. And so I think that's totally fine. I think it's just the nature of you do have to have certain, not motivations, but like the way that 4-H professionals view their work is they aren't in it for necessarily the praise of the world. They're in it for the kids. They're in it for the positive development that they see. And so it's kind of difficult to change your paradigm or change your view on it. And I think that's a very helpful way to do it, is that in order for me to be a better professional, I need to tell my story. And that one way I could do that is by applying for an award, and that's so important.
Something they did this year that I think was really great was the small bites breakfast. I think that was really cool because it gave people a chance to really explain and tell others about what they're doing. And so, when you're looking at applying for awards, if you do end up as a national winner, now you're going to get a chance to really get to share your story. And I think that's so wonderful in our organization, is being able to, not only share, but to learn and grow from others as well.
Brittany, talk about what that is for those that didn't get to go to national meeting in person. I don't know if it was available to the virtual folks, but I agree it was wonderful. But would you explain that a little more?
Yeah, so it was a really cool informal setting where basically the award winners, there was a communicator day, and then there was a specialty day. And basically we asked award winners if they would be willing, and they just set up a little table, and people just had a chance to walk by, and they were able to just in an informal setting get to talk to people and really just learn about what they did. And I think it was so great because I know I walked away with so many new ideas.
It was great. It was almost like a poster session minus the poster, but you also got breakfast and coffee, which also made it more enticing to want to come and listen to what the things are doing. And I think that was fantastic to do that, because so often the folks walk across the stage, or even at the regional brunch, we call them up and don't always know exactly what they did, but we're proud of them. And a clap for them too. But what a neat way to learn about what our colleagues are doing from across the country, not just the national award winners.
And you know what, though, in my opinion, at least for what it's worth, that's where the most memorable connections happen for me, are those conversations where I'm connecting with other professionals in a conversation from across the country, rather than, I'm not saying that like breakout sessions and doing the award ceremony have no value. I'm just saying that for me, like, it's a combination of things, and I'm really glad to hear that that's something that they tried this year. I unfortunately didn't get to experience that, but that's fantastic. Those little connections.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think at one time the award-winning applications, the national applications, were supposed to be on the website. And so being able to look at some of those examples can definitely help as you're applying for those awards as well.
And jogging your memory, like, oh, okay, I'm doing something similar to this. So this is award worthy. This is worth submitting as I move forward.
Oh, yeah, I think at one point they were, but we talked a little bit, our website's getting ready to go under some construction. And I hope that is a piece that becomes more available, because I think that's often, for those of us who aren't comfortable, getting started is a hard thing. But if we have the example to look at and to read, probably makes it a little bit easier. So some guides to follow. As you can tell, Alan and Megan are crazy passionate about awards for some unknown reason.
Because it's wonderful to celebrate your colleagues.
It
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Especially the West, because we know West is the best.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
Yes. We've always been the best.
that's right.
That's right. Now we just have a podcast to prove it. Hey, Marcella, are you still there? You should take the last question.
I am still here, sorry. As we go through reflecting back to the association, ladies, why would you, or what reason would you tell other colleagues to join the association?
I think it's just all the opportunities that you get from being a member, from the in-person professional development, the virtual professional developments they were doing throughout the year. This year was great. The chance to get to just mingle with other colleagues. Yeah, just I think overall just the benefits that you get from it.
Yeah, I believe that I agree with Brittany. The opportunities, the friendships that are made, the networking, the ideas are truly, I mean, you benefit from being involved.
Was it Scott, Marcella? I'm going to pick your memory. Didn't Scott say something to the effect of, it's not about what you can get from, or it's not what the association can do for you, it's what you can do for the association. And
Yeah.
you guys are kind of, you brought that up a couple different times, not in that language, but it reminded me of what Scott had said about bring your talents and your energy and your interest to the association and let it, you can really change a whole lot too, just by being willing to step up and be the awards chair or the apprentice awards chair and learn.
Well, and I think too, it's important, start small, because I know coming into it when as a new agent, it's sometimes it's overwhelming and you're like, what am I getting into? But sit on some of those committees, be a member of those committees, help the committee chairs and be involved at that level. And then later on, those other opportunities come forward, or somebody kind of volunteers you to assist in these other roles, but also, making sure that you're there to help guide them and not throw them to the wolves. But
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing your experiences, giving us a little bit more highlight related to the award system and the reflecting of it. So takeaways are read through the various aspects of conversation. There are score sheets, so you know exactly what you're going to be looking at. Know the noteworthy, tell your story through your applications, but also have those at great references. What other additional
Apply and get involved.
apply and get involved?
I love it. And I love that our association,
Great.
it's one of those things that if you get what you get out of it, whatever you put into it. And it sounds like that's been really a huge component of this conversation, is that there's a lot that you can put in and you'll be a lot that you'll get out of it. And not only for your development as a professional, but just for building friendships and collaborations and generating new ideas, and which is really exciting because we're having a whole new crop of people join this association as well, and really excited to see where we keep going.
And perhaps I missed it when I died. Did you guys talk about, Brittany, you said that you just brought on some apprentices or some, well, I don't even know your official terminology. You
I
brought
just
some
call them
folks,
co-chairs.
yeah, okay. So you brought on some co-chairs that you're training into the position. And if folks would like to learn more about taking on that someday, or even just being a reviewer, that will come out in 2022, or can they email you guys?
Yes, absolutely. Just have them get in contact with me and I'm happy to connect them with different opportunities, whether it's judging, whether it's just even talking through if they potentially want to be a regional chair at some point.
and state chairs, make sure you look at those emails that are coming from your regional chair to get that information, the deadlines and the process, and know that as a past regional chair, and I'm sure Brittany can answer if will agree, is that we're here to assist. If we don't know the answer, the good thing is we have other people that we can connect with to find out that answer for you. So we've just got to get those questions. If we don't know that there's issues or questions, then we don't know how to help you. So it's a great opportunity. I've enjoyed my time. I started out as a state awards chair that I've been on that one, or hand over the reins to some other professionals. And so getting started with that, and it's led to the opportunity of serving as a regional chair, has been a great opportunity to serve. our professional association.
Thank you, ladies, so much for providing us with experience and a few takeaways.
Oh, well, that's lovely. Thank you guys so much for this experience and providing us some takeaways.
Yes.
This has been a 2021 production of the NAE 4-H YDP Western Region.
The West is the best. Please join us for our next episode.